This next cojones goes to a man who's dear to my heart for standing up for stand-up. When dozens of Netflix employees walked out over Dave Chappelle's reckless decision to perform comedy on his comedy special, CEO Ted Sarandos could have pulled the special. Instead, he reminded his Netflix employees that comedy exists to push boundaries and told them if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you. So, for making the phrase, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass," never sound better, this is for you, Ted.
Ma isn't easing up on his battle with Hollywood's so-called woke elite. Recently, he called out a handful of celebrities he believes are forcing ideology on audiences while drifting further away from everyday reality. In classic Ma fashion, he broke down what he sees as weak arguments and surface-level activism, highlighting what he considers hypocrisy behind much of their public posturing. There's a lot to unpack here, and as always, he leans into blunt humor and sharp criticism to make his point. So let's get into it.
There's no getting around the fact that what was on the mind of the liberals that night in Brentwood, or wherever we may have been, was that the most powerful witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick.
Ma opened by pointing out what he considers one of the biggest ironies in modern progressive culture. The same people who praise outspoken public figures often turn on them the moment they express an opinion that doesn't fit the script. He referenced figures like J.K. Rowling, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and even himself as examples of people once embraced by the left, only to be attacked when they voiced unpopular views. According to Ma, support in these circles lasts only as long as total agreement does, and once you step out of line, you're out.
So that was the point of the evening. How do we take a stand against cancel culture? And I suggested, since we were mostly all in show business, that we start an award show to honor the brave people who have fought back. Well, I got to tell you, the idea was met with great enthusiasm by everyone. And in short order, different people were suggesting the ways that their varied talents could be put to use. And then, of course, being Hollywood, nothing happened. But it's still a good idea, so I'm going to do it right here, right now. And not only that, we're going to do it every...
So what is Ma really getting at? He says the real rebels in Hollywood today are the ones who refuse to cave to online outrage. The ones who don't issue scripted apologies, don't delete their statements, and don't bend simply to avoid backlash. Instead, they stand by what they said even when it costs them popularity. Ma frames this as a defense of free speech in an industry he views as increasingly controlled by groupthink. In his eyes, refusing to bow to social pressure isn't arrogance, it's integrity, and he believes that kind of conviction deserves respect.
First award goes to the president of my alma mater, Cornell University, Martha Pollack. This month, students there demanded trigger warnings before all the lectures in case any of the adult subjects you specifically went to college to learn about came up. And Martha said, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that." She didn't cave in or hire a new dean of sensitivity. She just said, "No, college is for introducing you to new ideas, not for kissing your and making you feel wonderful and always right."
Ma also praised leaders in education who he feels resisted ideological pressure long before it became a national debate. He highlighted figures like Martha Pollack as examples of people who, in his view, protected academic standards while refusing to let campuses become echo chambers. For years, he argues, universities drifted toward rigid orthodoxy instead of open inquiry. To him, standing firm against that trend took courage, and he sees it as a sign that not everyone in academia surrendered to cultural pressure.
Thinking of brunch with your parents. I'm just amazed at how this generation can simultaneously be too sensitive for anything distasteful and somehow also so into eating. So Cornell, I present you with these balls. I sure could have used them when I was...
He then shifted to what he describes as contradictions within younger generations. On one side, he says many embrace extreme self-expression without hesitation. On the other, some react strongly to speech or jokes they disagree with. Ma frames this as a strange imbalance, where bold behavior is celebrated, yet opposing viewpoints are treated as intolerable. To him, that tension reflects a cultural environment that encourages expression, but only when it flows in one direction.
The award goes to the place where many Cornell grads will be working next year, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, who for years have been selling a line of ethnically themed products, trading on the name Joe. For example, they have Trader Jose's beer. So, of course, one teenager on Twitter heard the word Jose and said it was racist, and then there was a petition.
Ma brought up the Trader Joe's controversy as an example of how public backlash doesn't always carry the power people assume it does. When the company faced heavy criticism online, many expected them to apologize immediately and make sweeping changes. Instead, they declined to follow the standard PR playbook. They didn't panic, didn't rebrand, and didn't adopt the narrative being pushed onto them. And despite predictions of fallout, nothing catastrophic happened.
Life and a sense of humor and released this statement. We disagree that any of these labels are racist, and we do not make decisions based on petitions. You see how easy it is? So to the home of the 19-cent banana, here, have some nuts.
To Ma, Trader Joe's became proof that standing firm can work. He argues that a lot of outrage online is loud but not as influential as it appears. In his view, the so-called mob relies on fear and reaction, and once people realize they aren't obligated to submit to it, its power weakens dramatically. Trader Joe's didn't just refuse to fold, he says. They showed that calm resistance is sometimes all it takes to move forward without damage.
Next cojones goes to a man who's dear to my heart for standing up for stand-up. When dozens of Netflix employees walked out over Dave Chappelle's reckless decision to perform comedy on his comedy special, reminded his Netflix employees that comedy exists to push boundaries and told them if you'd find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you. So, for making the phrase, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass," never sound better, this is for you, Ted.
He went on to say that even comedians whose job is to challenge ideas and push boundaries have been dragged into the same cultural battles. He pointed to people like Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Joe Rogan, and Rob Schneider as examples of performers who faced backlash for opinions, jokes, or past statements. Comedy has always tested social limits, Ma argues, yet today even humor becomes a flashpoint. To him, that signals a culture that is becoming less tolerant of nuance and disagreement.
When movie lovers get together these days, one phrase that comes up a lot and always makes me sad is, "Yeah, you couldn't make that one today." Top of that list is the great Tropic Thunder, which the scolds have been after for years. But in February, Ben Stiller tweeted, "I make no apologies for Tropic Thunder. It's always been a controversial movie since when we opened, proud of it and the work everyone did on it." See, people, it's not that hard. He said it, and he still got a commercial. And the lesson is, if you stand up to the mob for just a day or two, their shallow, impatient, immature, smartphone-driven, gerbil minds will forget about it and go on to the next nothing burger, and you still will have your cojones.
Ma stressed that speaking honestly doesn't automatically destroy careers, despite the fear many entertainers feel. He believes most backlash comes in brief online waves that eventually pass, while self-censorship can do longer-term damage. In his view, the real risk isn't criticism, it's giving up your voice just to avoid it. He urged public figures to stop apologizing for reasonable opinions and to stop letting internet outrage dictate what they say. Audiences, he argues, respect authenticity more than scripted compliance.
Cyrus once said, "I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean." Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan.
From there, Ma called out celebrities who made sweeping political declarations during election seasons, including promises to leave the country if outcomes didn't go their way. He pointed out that despite dramatic statements, very few followed through. To him, that exposed how much of the rhetoric was symbolic rather than sincere. He framed it as another example of performative activism, where statements deliver applause but not action.
2016, Eddie Griffin said, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa. Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez still here.
Ma wrapped up by arguing that Hollywood should not be treated as a moral authority. Actors and entertainers, he says, often tailor their viewpoints to public approval rather than conviction. He believes many fold the moment controversy threatens their image, prioritizing relevance over principle. His broader message was that real influence comes from people, companies, and leaders who stand their ground, not those who chase validation. In his view, resisting empty outrage isn't reckless, it's necessary. And with that, he closed his remarks, leaving audiences with a reminder that conviction, even when unpopular, carries more weight than scripted agreement.